So, Elia, how? How does manifest destiny example of continuity in American history?
I believe that just like in their expansion in the Louisiana territory, when they moved westward, they had this idea that they had the ability or the capacity to overtake anybody, since they were predestined to take over the northern hemisphere.
Cool, this idea of predestination, that God has granted us the authority and the ability to spread over the whole continent. Louisiana Purchase is a good example. What are other examples? Annexation of Texas, sure, we'll talk about that today. Northwest ordinances, sure. Then we're going to spread out, but we're going to spread out with civilization, with education. We're going to spread out our American ideals into these new territories. Other examples? Oregon, yeah, that works. What about the War of 1812? The War of 1812, in a sense, right, to try to get England's influence out of the frontier, out of the Ohio River. Because a lot of manifest destiny has less to do with natives, frankly. We don't worry about them because we just kick them out when we feel like it. It has more to do with other nations in our way. So the Louisiana Purchase, right, getting France out of North America. Yeah, the Adams-O'Neill Treaty, getting Florida, getting Spain out. The War of 1812, getting the British out. Oregon, getting the British out. The Mexican-American War, getting Mexico / Spanish remnants out. So there's this real belief, kind of from the get-go, that we are here on the eastern seaboard, but we are destined to go here. Are we successful? Yeah. And the question becomes at whose expense? Everyone else. Mexicans' expense, natives' expense. I wouldn't say France so much because they sold Louisiana to us willingly. I wouldn't say Spain so much because they sold France to us willingly. But Britain's expense, sure. But we're only here because of Britain in the first place, so. So today's a big day because today really marks us on an irreversible course towards civil war. An irreversible course towards civil war. And it all comes because of my line that I've been using since a couple classes ago. New territory, new problems. Yeah, same problems, exactly. New territory, new of the same problems. And that problem, of course, is the expansion of slavery. So our prompt is here. Brett, read it for us, bro.
H.E. prompt.
There it is.
Evaluate the extent to which Western expansion maintained continuity and fostered change in American democracy during the period 1800 to 1850.
Now, we talked about this yesterday. In May, will you be asked for both? No. Should you answer both anyway?
Yeah.
Damn right you should. Good. So I want you to take a minute with your partner. What? Special effects? Let's see that again. Boom. Looks kind of like Lisa's outfit in reverse now. I'll give a better example. Take a minute with your partner. What do you identify? What message is this painting trying to convey? What are we getting across here? 1 minute, go for it. Identify specifics.
So they're going westward.
Well, not really, but like you can tell it's already on this side because like it's already set.
You do one light.
It's not. And on the other side, that's why I really
Red City's gonna give us soapbox speech like we
Have a dream!
That's one thing most of us in Los Angeles.
So, really good and enriching conversation. Thank you. Makes me happy. Christoph, what's noticeable here, sir?
Well, basically the angel, or where her name was again.
Okay.
She's basically leading them like their expansion towards the west?
It's generally known as Lady Liberty, right? This symbol of American freedom, American progress. We are spreading American freedom to where?
The west.
Yes, you're right, the West, but where?
Frontier.
But where? But where?
Texas.
The darkness.
They're bringing the
Not only are we spreading out people, not only are we spreading out, technology. What do we see? Telegraph wires, infrastructure, railroads, canals, bridges, steamboats, railroads. But we are not just spreading out things, we are spreading out ideas. We are spreading out goodness and justice and equality, unless you're brown, and freedom and happiness and progress, and we're going to come take your land and your wives, and it's going to be amazing in America. So, a couple of things. What else? When you look at this, what else is noteworthy up here? What else is worth pointing out? Santos.
Maybe the book she has in her hand.
Oh, all right.
The agrarian sort of.
We see, it's an agrarian society spreading out. We see farmers. We see, this is important, we see fences. That may seem dumb to you. I guarantee if I told you to list 50 things, the most 50 important things on there, you never would have picked up things. But the fence demonstrates like this agricultural progress of taming the land, of controlling the land and what's on it with things like fences. Picks, corncob pipes, covered wagons. Who are we chasing? Look at this, in the darkness. Yeah.
Oh, the single star on her head is like a Lone Star Republic.
Yeah, maybe. This mention of the Lone Star Republic. Cat, and then Luis. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to ask if that's still
Is it not yet? I'll do it right now. Give me a second. This is important, though. In the darkness is the natives. And they are being chased out by white progress. Without shame. We're proud of it. We see the Mormons, for example, founding Utah for religious freedom. As was mentioned in the Antebellum Reform chapter. The 49ers spreading out to dig for gold. I see a thick axe to California. The farmers moving west for open land to spread this agrarian lifestyle. Railroad workers. Railroad workers, Irish immigrants, Chinese immigrants, coming to our country to lay down track, to blow through mountains. Cowboys. We'll talk about this at the kind of the beginning of period 6. Herding cattle, creating a whole new business in American society of beef. We'll talk about that the first day of the second semester. And of course, Native Americans are forced not west, but further west. They've already been forced west. And this is another continuity of every time we spread out, we push them out of the way and say, this is your land, don't worry until we want it. So, this idea of manifest destiny, I'll let you read that text in a second, is really begun by Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase. What's the year on the Louisiana Purchase? 1803. Good. Good. This idea of, we can spread out. We should spread out. We're going to spread out. Right? Like the new word chant. We can go to college. We might go to college. We could go to college at some point. But this idea is important in American history. This idea of the frontier is important. That there always is a frontier or some less developed, less explored, less progressed place in society, which serves as kind of a safety valve. If you're unsuccessful in mainstream society, you can go try your luck on the frontier. Go out and get some land in, originally, Kentucky, no? Isn't this kind of the frontier after the American Revolution? Yeah. And then in Missouri, and then in Kansas, and then so this idea of the frontier is constantly shifting, but it's always there. This idea that America has a God-given right to expand all the land of the Pacific. This argument is largely fueled by white supremacy. This idea of light to darkness. that we're going to expand because it's good for us and good for them. We'll get there. We'll get there. And that's the next logical step. And as soon as we've conquered everything, and there's no more land, we're all the way to the Pacific, where you're sitting right now. Where's the Pacific from you? 3, 2, 1.
West of us.
To the west.
Oh,
And somewhat to the south. Where that
Why west?
That's fine.
You said west. There you go.
But here we are. We're like 15 miles from the Pacific Ocean. So once we are done, no, there's no more frontier. We'll talk about that in period 6. Frederick Jackson Turner's frontier thesis argues the frontier is closed. Now what do we do as a society? There's no more frontier to be. And that's when we start turning to things like imperialism. The next frontier is other countries. And then I'll even fast forward all the way to the 1960s when JFK, upon being elected president, argues for a new frontier. Space exploration. So this idea of always having something to push you to go explore further is a huge continuity of recognition. This word frontier is important. So take a minute, please. John L.O. Sullivan. He is a newspaper editor who's largely given credit for really coming up with this phrase, manifest destiny. Now, the idea has always been there. But it's not a phrase we use in our society until the 1840s, right about here. So read this brief excerpt from his newspaper and tell me, how does he justify it? How does he argue in favor of westward expansion? I'll give you 2. I'll get that PowerPoint uploaded. 2 minutes, go for it. Read it and answer, please. Thank you. The beautiful sign of kids fumbling for highlighters. Brings me great joy. Do more of that. Music 20. How does he justify it? Seconds left. Cat Brenda's up. So, from the text, what is the justification for this just massive, spread out, and really we can call it conquering of people in the West? Benjamin, talk to me.
Justifies by saying that it would Can you come back to me?
Happily. Desi.
Okay. The part where it says Providence has given us development, so basically liberty, self-government, and federalism.
Yeah, we're bringing self-government, but did we ask themselves?
No.
How are we about to bring somebody self-government? Right? Let's talk about a contradiction. Like, we're going to bring you the ability to govern yourself. Weren't we already governing ourselves before? Slaney, how is it justified?
Well, I also have that idea that he's talking about self-government because they have already established themselves
before, how they've already been given that sense of liberty, so they want more of it. And
Okay. Sure, agreed. Chaz?
It says that
Yeah.
the earth is suitable for the full expansion of its principle and destiny of growth.
Okay.
Like it's saying that it's meant to be expanded. Like
Sure. Who gave us the right?
Providence.
What's providence?
God.
God. So, but check this out. We have just as much of a right to this land as the tree has the right to air. That's a lot of right. Can anybody stop a tree from getting air? It's carbon monoxide. Just kidding. Yeah. Stop that. We have enough of your hot air in this room. So, could you stop a tree from taking an air if you tried? No. So isn't he arguing that there's nothing that anybody can do? This land is ours and we're going to take it? Yeah. Absolutely. So this happens mostly... You guys stop touching each other.
I'll just have my hand in this
And I got photographic evidence.
Oh.
It happened one time.
At band camp. So we see a lot of different ways people are spreading out, but largely coming off this center of the nation in the Midwest and spreading out in what's called overland trails.
Ooh, nice green hat.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. The ninth grade overland trails. They asked me to come help with that unit when you guys were ninth grade when they had the first new curriculum, and I looked at it all, I'm like, no, I can't. Like there's 816 wagons and this many axles. I'm like, we're not playing Oregon Trail. So we see a variety of trails that are all overland into territory that's really not ours yet.
That's cool.
You're settling into it, you okay, buddy? Territory that's not ours yet. We see the Oregon Trail. Anybody ever heard of the game, the Oregon Trail?
Yeah.
Forever ago. It's like the original computer game, like way back then. Look it up. It's kind of enjoyable.
I played it.
Good for you. The California Trail, and people are settling in Sutter's Fort for the gold rush, but a little beforehand when it's still Mexico. Santa Fe becomes a huge trading post for Americans even before it's America, when it's still Mexico's, because it's very uninhabited in Mexico. So we're spreading out overland to a point where partially it's the war that gets us the territory, but you could argue that the war is kind of the end conclusion for what's already happening. Because people are already spreading out in great numbers into somebody else's country, in which there's very, 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 very few Mexicans here. It's almost like the war is the end of the revolution, not the start of the revolution, so to speak. So how does all this happen? When I left you off in period 4, we had just elected who?
Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison. And I told you the Whigs stole that playbook from the Democrats of running a war heroes and man of the people, log cabin, hard cider. I grew up drinking hard cider, and he voted for me, and then he died. Yeah, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So William Henry Harrison dies. It was about 44 days or something. So Harrison dies. Yeah, he got pneumonia from being in the rain, giving his long, stubborn inaugural address. We should shut up, dude. Shut up, go inside, you might live longer, seriously. Now, what party is Harrison from? So Harrison is a Whig. He's the first Whig president, yes? So he's the first Whig president. Who's the most important Whig that we know of? Clay. Clay is the most important Whig. And what does Clay want more than anything else? Yeah. So Clay and Daniel Webster are the two most important Whigs. He's the Western Whig. He's the Massachusetts Whig. They're both about the American system, and they're the ones who tried to recharter the bank. So there's these important Whig characters. And Harrison, in exchange for their support when running for president, he promised to give a lot of the powers to Congress. Isn't that what the Whigs wanted? The Whigs were mad at Jackson for taking too much power in the presidency. The Whigs want more power in the legislative branch. Who's in the legislative branch? Clay, Webster, other big deal Whigs. So in the process of getting nominated and elected president, it's a more complicated procedure that you guys need to know right now. But Harrison promises to give some power to make sure that he stays out of the way for the most part and lets Congress do its thing. Congress, where of course Clay is and Webster is. Harrison's like, yes?
Just to be clear, which one was it?
Tyler. I'll get there. So Harrison promises, like, hey, my presidency, I'll stay out of your way. I'll let Congress do their thing. I won't be vetoing a bunch of your stuff, like Jackson. I won't be getting in Congress as well. I'll let Congress really run the country. So everyone's like, yeah, vote for him. He's going to do the things we want. And then he dies. Now, of course, his vice president is John Tyler. John Tyler is a former Democrat who left the Democratic Party because he disagreed a lot with Jackson. So he disagrees with Jackson, but he still is kind of like a states' rights guy. Former Democrat, now he's a Whig. Is he really a Whig? He's a kind of Whig. Like a pretend Whig. A half Whig, I don't know.
Wait, so what kind of people like them?
Well, they put him on as vice president, so nobody really paid attention to him.
No, but like when he became president.
Nobody. That's what I'm going to get at. So the Democrats don't trust him because he's not a full Democrat. The Whigs don't trust him because he's not a full Whig. And whereas Harrison promised to stay out of Congress's way, Tyler's not like that. He's much more of a strict interpretation of the Constitution guy because he's a former Democrat. Small government. Doesn't like this Whig agenda. So Harrison promised to stay out of Clay's way, then Harrison died. So now he's really out of Clay's way because he's dead. But Tyler's not going to allow these Whigs in Congress to really have their control. Clay is still here trying to get the bank back up and alive. And Tyler refuses to let that happen. Whigs officially vote him out of the party, so he has no party. The Whigs, he's a Whig president, and the Whigs kick him out. They officially rescind his party membership. You're not one of us. His whole cabinet resigns. He has no support, no nothing. So his whole presidency, he has no party. He's not Whiggish enough for the Whigs. He's not Democratic enough for the Democrats. He's obstructing Clay's attempts to get the bank restarted because he believes in strict interpretation. He's a president without a party. He serves the rest of his one term without any party loyalty. He gets nothing done, absolutely nothing, because he has no party identification. Interesting. Keep in mind, though, what was the slogan when he was elected vice president?
Typical.
Tippy-canoe, and oh yeah, that Tyler guy too. So even that whole campaign approach was like, yeah, we got this war hero and this dude. His name's John Tyler. Never trust a man with two first names. I can tell you guys. It's legit. Craig Winchell. I got one first name. Terry Taylor. Don't trust him. That's two first names. He looks smart. Exactly. You can't trust him though. So, John Tyler. Now, the only important thing Tyler does, he does at the very end of his presidency because it's kind of forced. So let's talk about Texas. Now, before Texas even becomes independent, because this all feeds into the Mexican-American War situation, what is Texas part of?
Mexico.
Before that? Spain. So Mexico gets their independence from Spain. Go Mexico. And then Mexico looks at the situation and they say, man, we have a way bigger country than we can govern. Literally, it's all of this, which is huge, and all of modern-day Mexico, which is also huge. Now, Mexico does not have a lot of people. And the people Mexico has are not in these northern parts. These northern parts of Mexico are largely populated by natives. And they realize that there's no order, there's no structure, there's no civilization, there's no anything that resembles modern society, because it's all natives. So far, so good? Mm-hmm. So Mexico decides, you know what? Why don't we invite the white people in? Because what will the white people bring with them? People. Civilization. Structure. White people love rules. Permanent patty asses or whatever. Not following the rules. White people love structure. White people love organization. The Northwest Ordinances, all of this. So Mexico's thinking, if we allow these people in, then they're going to bring some stability, is a big word there. Stability to society. They don't put really any real restrictions on them. They don't tell them what they can and can't do. And then Mexico looks up after a period of a number of years and says, oh crap. Like this Texas place looks nothing like Mexico. There's a lot of white people. A. B. They're not Catholic. C. They don't speak Spanish. D. They brought slaves. Are we surprised they brought slaves? Where's Texas? Yeah. So all these poorer white people who can't get, this is the frontier, who can't get a leg up where? Where might they be coming from? Be more specific. No, it's way over here.
Kentucky.
Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. They're coming this way to Texas.
Orleans.
So Mexico passes a series of laws to try to re-Mexico Mexico. Does this sound familiar to anybody?
The colony.
Yeah. It's a very similar, smaller scale repeat of Britain and the colonies. Let them there, let them do their own thing, it'll bring stability, leave them alone. Oh shit, it's too late now. So they try to pass a law making sure that all people in Texas are Catholic, or are practicing Catholics. White people were like, what? Virgin who? Where? They try to outlaw slavery. And everyone's like, but my slaves.
Texas is part of Mexico, right?
Yes. So this is still part of Mexico. So they try to add a bunch of restrictions on the Texans, and the Texans are like, screw you. We'll just declare our own independence. Again, a serious, good job identifying that, serious repeat of, on a way quicker, shorter, smaller scale, of what happened in the American colonies.
Except we win.
So Texas has their revolution. They kind of win, they kind of don't win. They capture the leader of the Mexican forces and they force him at gunpoint to sign a treaty saying they're independent. Well, there's the treaty, it's signed. So they win their independence in what's called the Lone Star Rebellion or the Texas Revolution. It's a very small war. Texans love to say, remember the Alamo? It's a very proud Texan phrase today. The Mount Alamo is a place in San Antonio, a place today in Texas. In the Battle of Alamo, every Texan is killed. Every one of them. The Mexicans storm this Alamo, this fort, if you will, and they kill every Texan there. Women, children. They scalp them. It's super vicious. So the Texans use this phrase, remember the Alamo, as a means of being revenge for what happened at the Alamo. It makes me laugh because these are the kinds of things that most Americans don't know. Right? Same like when you ask them where the national anthem came from, they all say the Revolutionary War. War of 1812. And they're like, what the hell is that? I guess Texans today yeah, remember the Alamo. Yeah, remember the Alamo when we all died? And had our scalps cut off and got ourselves embarrassed? Yeah, I remember that. I know. Just gone. Eventually, Sam Houston's army, Houston, Texas. Sam Houston's army captures the Mexican president, who's also the Mexican general, a very George Washingtonian approach. And they force him to sign that they're free, and that grants Texas their independence. They call themselves the Lone Star Republic, and they're free. Now, who lives in Texas at this point? White people, Texans. Mexicans?
No.
Not so much. A few, not a lot. So, the important piece to keep in mind is at this point, does Texas look more like Mexico or look more like America? America. Yeah, America. Good. But Mexico does not recognize formally this independence. Mexico still thinks Texas is theirs. They're just on a little break. That's like a relationship. I thought we broke up. I thought we were on a little break. Wow. Yeah, we were on a break. So, Mexico still claims Texas is theirs. Their independence isn't really formally recognized. America's like, we want you, Texas, but you still kind of got a significant other. Right? Where the girl's like, no, we broke up. The boyfriend's like, we didn't break up. And the other guy's like, yeah, I'm going to stay away from that one. I see a lot of eyebrows up in this class. So,
Right here, Leslie. What's in that? Also,
your mistake comes when you say anything. Volume. So, now we have Texas. Texas is an independent country. So, Texas is independent from 1836 on, but they're very unstable and shaky. Why are they unstable? Caesar, why? No, I'd love to you to answer the question that I asked because you weren't paying attention. It's not my bad. Sure. Why is Texas unstable? Why is Texas shaky? Why is Texas struggling as a country? Brandon, what do you think? Why is Texas as a brand new country unstable and shaky and economically struggling? Okay, agreed. Talk to me.
They just became independent, just like the U.S. at the beginning.
Yeah, they're brand new. They're brand new. They don't really. They're competing with the United States, which is a big country. Mexico is also struggling. They don't really have an identity. They're kind of an agriculture economy. They're kind of a plantation economy, but there's not a lot of people there. So economically, they're struggling. They ask the U.S. for help, and the U.S. is kind of like, eh. We're not trying to get in between you and Mexico right now because we don't want to go to war with Mexico. They reach out to European powers for help, and the European powers, like England specifically, is like, yeah, we'd love to help you. Because Europe wants us to have some competition on this side of the world so that we're not too powerful. But again, Europe's like, we don't want to help you because we don't want to go to war with Mexico. Like, nobody really wants to go to war right now. It's the middle 1830s. We've been fighting wars for a long time. So not most, but many Americans want Texas. What region is going to want Texas the most?
The South.
The South. Yeah, because I showed you with the Missouri Compromise, we're kind of out of places to expand slavery. We're out of space. So the election of 1844 becomes one of those single-issue elections. Tell me that louder.
Like the bank?
How so?
Because I forgot what election it was.
You better remember.
36? 32?
Yeah, 32. Who's running for election?
Jackson.
Jackson's re-election becomes a bank election, where it's a one-issue election. Where people are deciding, the American people are deciding, is this a pro-bank or anti-bank society? In this case, 44 is a pro-Western expansion or anti-Western expansion type of election. James K. Polk runs as a Democrat, and he runs against Henry Clay.
Oh, wait, so how many times did he run? 4?
This is the 4th time. So, Polk, and nobody's ever heard of Polk. This is the one where Clay's like, I got this. Who is James K. Polk? Have we mentioned James K. Polk yet? No. James K. Polk is like,
Freshman.
yeah, in a sense, he's a little guy. He worked under Jackson for a little while. He's a very like old school Jacksonian Democrat, like American pride, but he's not playing a huge role politically. He's like the Democrats, like 5th choice. But the Democrats, we start seeing the Democrats start to split. The Northern Democrats want Van Buren. The Southern, Van Buren again. The Southern Democrats are kind of like old-ass Calhoun, maybe, what do we do? The Western Democrats are like, I don't know. So they pick Polk as kind of a compromise person because nobody hates him. Like, what does Polk have going for him? That's it. Nobody thinks he's terrible, which is a good qualification for president. Like, what are you running on? Not sucking? Cool. Done. You have my vote. So Polk's the only thing, as you guys read, the only thing Polk promised, I think what Coca-Cola promises, 1, to reduce the national debt, bless you. 2, reduce the tariffs. 3, we're going to expand. I'm a pro-expansionist candidate. I'm going to take all of Oregon, 54-40 fight. That whole disputed territory, it's ours. We're taking it. I'm going to take Texas. I'm going to take Mexico. All Polk really stands for is Western expansion. So when he wins, what does that demonstrate about the American public opinion? There it is. It's a single issue election. Polk wins. Americans favor expansion. This is what it looks like. Take a look at it. Clay comes so close in the popular vote. He only loses by 40,000 votes, which is only 2%. But he gets killed electorally. Where does most of Polk's support come from?
South.
Yeah, the West and the Deep South. And these old Democrat strongholds of New York and Pennsylvania. What do New York and Pennsylvania have a lot of? What do New York and Pennsylvania have a lot of? What do New York and Pennsylvania have a lot of? What?
Industries.
Industries, yes. There's more factory labor there. What else do they have a lot of? People, yeah, that's important. What else? Commerce, yeah. Immigrants. Yeah, New York and Pennsylvania, they have an immigrant population. So this Democrat base of of the West and the Deep South, and then the working class in the North, is what elects Polk. So who's still president when Polk gets elected? Tyler. Tyler's like, man, I've been president for 3.5 years and I have not done shit. So what Tyler does is he looks at the election. The election says America favors, public opinion favors Western expansion. So Tyler, basically on his way out of office, he annexes Texas. What does annex mean? Yeah, to take in, to absorb. So it's called this. It's a lame duck because somebody else has been elected to take his place, but he's still in office. Congress is out of session, so Congress isn't even there to approve it, and he's like, "What he's looking? All right, Texas. Come on, Texas, in the back door. Seriously, we sneak Texas into the back door. He pushes through a bill which annexes Texas. So then on the way out of his presidency, he can be like, "Look, everybody, I did it. Look at my proudest achievement." Everyone's like, "Who?" Yeah, Timmy Canoe and Tyler who? So he goes from Tyler who to the guy who sneaks in Texas. And Mexico is pissed. Mexico's furious. Mexico cuts off all diplomatic relations. Mexico basically breaks up with us as friends. Because we just took Mexico's ex. Anybody ever dated one of your friends' exes? Don't answer that question. Don't answer that question. Y'all dated me. Y'all dated me. So, moral of the story is not a good idea. You don't want to be that guy or that girl. It's a bad look. That's why it sucks to go to a small school.
How do I work out?
So, question for you guys. Question 1, is Mexico right to be upset?
Yeah.
I love how your first answer was like, yeah, and then you're like, wait a second. Tell me, why is Mexico not right to be upset?
Because I mean, what was it, Santana?
Santana, yeah.
Yeah, he did like sign the treaty, and all of them wasn't really recognized. There is like legal documentation.
It's there. But who are we to talk about forced treaties? How many forced treaties have we chosen not to recognize? Here, Cherokees, this land is yours. Here's a treaty. Keep it forever. 20 years later, I'm going to need that back. So yeah, there's two sides of it. One, Mexico still thinks it's theirs, but two, there is this treaty. It may have been forced at gunpoint by some shady maneuverings. So, regardless, what can Mexico do about it?
War.
Not much. Mexico is struggling financially, big time. Mexico's in a lot of debt. Who's in a lot of debt to? A lot of Americans. A lot of Americans. Millions and millions of dollars.
Wait, why?
Because they're a brand new country, struggling with loaning them money. That's the way it works. Mexico is struggling militarily. Mexico is struggling socially. They don't know what kind of country they're going to be. They have this more authoritarian side of things with like a Santa Anna. Santa Anna runs Mexico like 6 different times and gets exiled every time. He's like, I'm back! And everyone's like, oh, hell yeah, Santa Anna's back. And then they all remember he's terrible. And they kick him out. And then Mexico goes downhill. And then he's like, I'm back! And they're like, oh, thank God, Santa Anna's back. And they realize he's terrible. So Mexico is struggling from a stability standpoint. There's not really much they can do about the Texas issue, but what they do is they cut off all relations with us diplomatically. They're like, cool. They are the diplomat that we have in Mexico City, they kick out. Their diplomat that comes to Washington, D.C. for relationships, they send him home. So they cut off all of our friendship. I know. So why did Clay lose again? You got me. Go for it. Sure, it's that easy. And also, in a sense, Clay has kind of compromised himself out of the presidency. He's gone so many different ways on slavery to try to keep the country together that now nobody knows what he actually thinks. He's part of that movement to send them back, the colonization society to send them back to Africa. He's like, good idea. And then the whole South's like, screw you. And he's like, don't worry, I like slaves. And they're like, cool, we like you too. Then the North's like, screw you. So Clay's kind of been on so many different sides of the issues that nobody really knows where he stands, which is good for all of his reputation as a compromiser, not so good for running for president.
Is it like what he got to do in the next?
Yeah. Yeah, what he tried to do Jackson with the bank, right? Like he tries to like take a stand and maneuver it politically, and then it always backfires. It should always backfires on Clay. All right, cartoon time. It's a good cartoon. They all are. So take 2 minutes with your partner. There's no questions for you. You to look at it and analyze it and identify what's happening in the cartoon. Take 2. Talk about it. What do you notice? What do you see? 2 minutes. Go for it. Go, go, go. What? The election of 1844. And because American society was so pro-Western expansion, and he was kind of like, nah, I don't know about this stuff. Oh. New cartoon.
Oh,
Folk have a really big forehead.
Welcome to Texas.
You're in the wrong page. All hail Hulk, the friend of our country.
Did you record that?
I think it's Yankee Doodle. Salt River is one of the divided
42?
Texas.
What happened at 42?
When does Clay die?
Never.
Coming.
2000 years.
Wait, so does that mean I can run for president?
No, we can. You just say I'm not Henry Clay. Eventually I want to win. Eventually. Yeah,
I'm
doing good. Not that nobody's at it. So, talk to me then.
Tyler who?
All right, eyes up. Ruby, what's going on up here?
Well, they're flocking. It seems like they're all, I don't know, it seems,
That's okay. This is a very literal cartoon. Be ready.
Well, the Texans are up top, like, all hail Pope, that's my dude.
Yeah. Where's Polk?
On the far right.
Oh, he says, welcome Texas.
Welcome Texas, welcome brothers.
And then you see Clay in the middle, on the line.
Trying to,
He's like he's trying to hold the.
it's a pulley, yes?
Oh yeah.
He's trying to pull them back
Oh, he's trying to stop Texas from crossing the Salt River
into.
the river.
Yeah. So here's Polk, welcome Texas, welcome brothers, and these Texan dudes, right? Houston are like, yeah, all right, let's go, Polk, let us in. We're part of America. And all these guys are trying to keep Texas from joining the U.S. We have Clay, who else? Webster. What about Garrison?
Oh, he's trying to.
He's an abolitionist. And he's trying to lecture them, trying to give them a little help because there's this anti-expansion of slavery perspective to annexing Texas as well. So Whig reason, and also the abolitionist reason to not add Texas. Because if we add Texas, what are we adding?
More slaves.
More slave territory. It might be one state, but there's discussion at the time of making 3 states, or Texas is a big-ass state.
That's you.
So what if we add? What if we divide Texas into like Illinois-sized states? Can we fit like 5 Illinois into Texas?
Yeah.
How if we give 5 states in Texas? How many senators is that?
1148.
Nobody else wants to answer?
10.
Yeah, we had 10 senators that are pro-slavery. Now all of a sudden we got to find 5 new states in the north. Nobody's there. So there's this anti-expansion of slavery perspective, this Whig perspective that's trying to pull Texas back from joining the Union. It's a good cartoon. Why is Montana so big? Don't worry, there's like 18 people live there.
Who goes to Montana?
Nobody.
I forgot that.
Montana's a state? Yeah. Montana.
She's from Montana. So, please keep.
What?
You good? Yeah. You sure? Keep this perspective in mind as it demonstrates this growing divide over not just Texas, but Western expansion, expansion of slavery, what to do about this manifest destiny idea, and how this is splitting up the country into opposing camps. So we also have some tension with Great Britain at the time. Remember the Oregon country from the era of good feelings, and I showed you we're settling our problems diplomatically. What do we decide to do with Oregon? Ahead of time. We're sharing it, right? It's shared territory, and we'll revisit it every 10 years. Now, Polk's supporters are like, we want the whole damn thing. Do they know where Oregon even is? No. Probably not. But there's this slogan, 5440 or fight. Now, 5440 is the 3630, the horizontal lines at the top of the Oregon territory. It's like here. They could paint that this summer. 5440 or fight. Let's see if it's on here. My presidential, there it is. 5440 or fight. My presidential campaign mug. There's a gift. Right below, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Hey, there it is. There it is. There it is. Who is James K. Polk? All right, so there's this philosophy in American public opinion of expansion at any cost. We'll fight England, we'll fight Mexico, we'll fight you and your mother, no problem. America's going to expand. We opened negotiations with Great Britain and we're like, all right, do you really want to fight me? Do I really want to fight you? Not so much, let's just split it. So we settled peacefully at the 49th parallel in 1846, which extends formally our official border all the way to the Pacific Ocean right here. Again, it's not a huge deal, but it is showing us resolution with Great Britain on diplomatic terms. Solving our problems with Great Britain diplomatically. I mean, we've already fought them twice. But we've settled the Maine Canada border with them already. We've settled a bunch of other things with them. In 1842, we had the Webster-Ashburton Treaty, which was up here. So now we're really reinforcing this northern border. And it's really one of the only places in the world where you, at the time especially, where you see a fully open, transparent border system that's been negotiated and happy and nobody has a problem with it. I'll give you a minute and a half on this. This is a British cartoon at the time, when we're trying to puff up our chest on them. So chat about it. What do you see? What's the context? What's the point of view? What is this cartoon trying to get across? Take two and talk about it. Go for it. No, it's continuity. This is me and my slave. Yeah.
Wait, what? What? Oh, that?
But what is Yankee Doodle? Yankee Doodle is a patriotic American song in the 1800s. I'm sure you guys have heard it. Yeah. Yankee Doodle is a patriotic song, and they're calling us Yankee Noodle. Oh. Noodles are soft and weak, exactly, right? So what is this cartoon? Oh, so wait, what is this cartoon implying from a message perspective?
that England is big.
Christoph, go ahead.
That like England is like, well, I mean, England did make them. That like they shouldn't do that. That like they don't have the right, and they probably couldn't even if they wanted to.
Agreed? Okay. Yeah, in England's mind. This is an English cartoon. So on both sides are like, we're going to fight you over this organ thing. And both sides realize, like, we don't really care that much about fighting over organs, so let's just settle it. This is what it gives us. This was the area that was claimed by all of us, both sides. America knows, oh, this is Spanish territory, this is Mexican territory as of the Mexican Independence War. So what they do is say, you know what, let's just put a straight line. And then at the very end, there's this they want, England wants this whole island, America wants this whole island, so then we just go. And there we go. Problem solved. Problem solved. So, now we've settled that issue that Polk promised to settle. The big issue going forward for Polk isn't Texas, it's California. Polk really wants California. Now, way before the U.S. even gets involved, militarily in Texas, New Mexico, or California, the U.S., it's important we understand this. The U.S. already has a clear influence economically. The U.S. is very involved in the economy of Mexico, in the trade in Mexico, before any military stuff happens. I already told you about New Mexico. Santa Fe, New Mexico is right here. The U.S. at the time is as close as here. So this becomes a very common trade outpost. Santa Fe, New Mexico, that allows U.S. business to go into Mexico. Mexico doesn't mind. Mexico needs the business investment. But when you start investing money in somebody, that creates this conflict. New England traders, so shipping is heavily involved in San Diego and San Francisco, and to a smaller extent, Los Angeles. Shipping and trade. And we've already seen the southern plantation economy fully not invade, but get involved this way. So there's already a ton of economic ties into Mexico before we fight Mexico. And now, when the Polk is there, we've got Texas, we settled Oregon, there's a bunch of public opinion that's like, all right, now we got to go get the rest of it. We want California. John L. O'Sullivan, here he is again. The quote's on the next page of your notes. Stop and think about this. I'll give you a minute to write about it. What is L. O'Sullivan getting at, and what does that demonstrate about American public opinion and this idea of manifest destiny? Write on your own, please. Respond to that quote. To blend in. To submit. You're writing. Good timing. It's a good quote for you.
I'm Mexican.
We know.
Amalgamate. How are we lost?
50 seconds. Yeah, it's a blended. To submit.
Amalgamate. This is like your people telling my people.
I tell you things all the time.
Oh, Sullivan?
Yeah. My people.
Irish, yeah.
Yeah, literally. This is a Winchell Maltese conflict.
Yes.
One Irish guy against the entirety of Mexico.
The last name, O, whatever, is Irish.
Is that where you lost?
All right. Miss Purple's Purple's Irish.
No, she married Irish.
Hey,
All right. Time is up.
You realize it right now. You're welcome.
Everything about my life.
No, you don't.
Kevin, you just have the face of Lacey.
All right. So
Technically, I'm just in the middle of everything.
it's not that funny, guys.
Jenny and Natalie, I'm just here.
Y'all are so easily amused. Hilda, what is John L. O'Sullivan saying? What does he mean? I give you time to read it and think about it. Go ahead, Benjamin. Take a shot.
I think he's saying that either like Mexico like comply with it or
Yeah.
or die.
Basically, it's like submit, we're taking you over. If you don't, you'll die. But keep in mind, this is the same guy that you read at the beginning with his manifest destiny argument. We have the God-given authority, as much as the tree has to air, to take this land. God said so. But it's a very common perspective. We don't understand why Mexico won't just get out of the way. Maybe they don't talk to the same God as we do. Like God didn't tell you guys? Y'all gotta go. Like maybe you guys should call him and check, but he told us it was cool. Like this is gonna be, and in the U.S. defense, kind of nobody's there. And that does not mean the U.S. has entitlement to the land, but Mexico's not exactly doing anything with it. Mexico's struggling to govern the land they have inhabited. All kinds of internal strife and revolutions. And they're not doing much here, so the U.S. is kind of like, well, we might as well just take it. Might as well just take it. So, Mexico refuses, and we try to buy it. Hey, we send a guy named John Slidell to Mexico City, and we say, Mexico, we're going to try to buy California from you. We want California. And Mexico won't even negotiate. Question for you. Should Mexico have to negotiate? No. Why not? It is not for sale. You're good. It's not for sale. If somebody get in my house today and they're like, hey, I'm here to buy your house. It's funny, I was unaware that was for sale. But if you do that, with what, both dollars? So, Mexico's not in the wrong for this, but the U.S. is like, why won't they just negotiate with us? We're trying to give them money for this land. Mexico's also disputing where Texas said, this is the big issue, disputed territory always causes problems. Mexico's disputing where the border in Texas even is. So if you guys can see over here, I'll use blue, see that. Mexico says the border is here, basically. So all of this is Mexico's. And Texas and the U.S. say the border is here. So all of this is America's. So this area in between, both say is theirs. Have we had this happen before? Who's right? Who cares? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's right. It matters who wins. So, this was going to lead us into war with Mexico. Polk is very pro-expansion, as you guys know. He's not pro-expansion for everything. He really just really wants California. He's willing to pay for it. He's willing to buy it from Mexico. Or, if that doesn't work, he's willing to use force. What a nice man. I'm here to buy your house, and if not, I'm going to beat your ass and take it. So just like that. And I hit the alarm and I run. This growing issue, though, is this Texas-Mexico border. Texas claims it's all the way here to the Rio Grande. Mexico claims it's further north at the Nueces. So, there's a little bit of tension. Both sides think this in-between land is theirs. Polk sees an opportunity. So Polk orders General Zachary Taylor, future president, to go to Texas with the military and protect Texans from Mexico. Cool. Is that going to cause any tension? He sets up camp. It's a lot of repeats of history. He sets up camp on the U.S. side, but is he technically in Mexico and Mexico's version of things? Yes. This is my point. I'll show you the map. The U.S. says this is the border. It's the Rio Grande. That's the border today, which tells you who won the war. With me so far? Am I confusing at all? That's the border of the United States, according to the United States. Our country goes all the way to there. Mexico says the border is right here, this Nueces River. So Mexico says their country goes all the way to there. Who's right? Is there any way to tell? No, not really. So all this land in between, the U.S. says is our land, and Mexico says is their land. So if we send the military into this land, what's Mexico going to do?
Fight back.
Why are they going to fight back, Chavez? We're in their land. According to Mexico, we've invaded Mexico. Reasonable? And then, what can the U.S. say? Mexico has fired on us on our land. So Polk is able to manipulate the situation by saying, if I send the military there, Mexico's response will be this, and then I'll have enough justification to go to war. Boom. Did Polk abuse his power? No. It's within his power to move the military wherever he wants. He's the commander-in-chief. He's in charge of the army. Is it shady? Yeah. Is it intentional? Absolutely. Sir?
So the whole conflict wasn't really about the part of Texas. That border dispute was mainly just because Polk wanted California.
1,000%. And Polk was mad they wouldn't negotiate, and public opinion was such that. So I'm telling you guys, anytime you see disputed territory, it's going to cause trouble. The French and Indian War. So, this is the difference in the Mexican-American War, though. It's the only time in American history where we fight a war on this continent with another power, with another nation, for land. You could argue it's the U.S.'s only real war of aggression. President Polk sends Taylor to the area the U.S. thinks is its border. Predictably, Mexico is like, hey, why is the U.S. arming in our country? Now, Mexico knows what they're doing, too. But Mexico can't, have to save face and not be embarrassed. Taylor's troops are attacked by the Mexican army. Polk now has enough evidence to say to Congress, look, here it is. His famous line, American blood has been shed on American soil. Declare war. The Northern Whigs, like Lincoln, are furious. They say, you've manipulated us into a war. Which, frankly, is accurate. So, I have a cartoon that I would like for you to look at, please, before we look at some text. This is the British view of the Mexican-American War. And this is a deep, critical, I don't mean like it's important critical, it is important, but like critiquing view of American society in the Mexican-American War. There's a lot up here. There's a lot up here. And it's in your notes as well. So take two, try to identify as much stuff in this cartoon as possible. What message is this cartoon trying to get across? What was the British view of the war, and to what extent is this depiction accurate? Go for it.
Sorry.
Yep. Crystal? I see you. Very good.
Your logo.
I don't have a logo. Outcast. You wear the female version. You're wearing the female version.
Oh, I would say.
40 seconds.
No.
Alright.
Keep the towel.
Tell me what it's there for. I guarantee there's one there you haven't noticed yet. Yeah.
Here's some purely.
It's a good cartoon.
This is Washington.
Yep. Statue of Washington. Dollars. So, it's a good cartoon. No way. What stands out to you in this cartoon, sir?
The American flag in there.
Okay? Yeah.
And then slavery.
There's an American flag, and then what he's smoking, the smoke is kind of obscuring the American flag. So he's exhaling. Who do we think this is?
The image of an American flag.
Yeah, you're right.
Hulk.
Hulk.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah. Why don't you think it's Hulk?
You know, whites are common, you know.
Right? He's taking Texas, taking Oregon, he's got all this money trying to take Mexico.
He's stepping all over. Why is he stepping on Washington?
Why? Tell me why is he stepping on Washington?
Because Washington was the one who was like made the Declaration of Independence. Like set the ground for like liberty and all that.
Yeah.
And they're just stepping all over it.
Yeah. And he's like, and Washington's one who's like, stay out of foreign problems, avoid political parties, avoid sectionalism, avoid us versus themism. What?
The meme I sent you.
Yes. I told you these things. So, what is Mexico trying to get across about America in this cartoon? Talk to me.
It's the British, right?
Yeah.
I put the British saw the Mexican-American War as the U.S. expanding in favor of slavery expanding.
Sure, agreed. Go deeper. What is Mexico trying to say about? I mean, what is the British trying to say about America? Because of the Mexican War. Go ahead.
They're like barbarous, hypocritical, and
Barbarous, hypocritical, and inhumane. They went to all this trouble to declare their independence from us and all these high-minded ideals. Principle that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their all men, unless they are brown men, black men, women. Yeah. Because of lynching laws. Because dueling. I see dueling.